Yeah.
Okay, so I've started the recording. Okay.
Yes, sir. Oh,
And have you been able to grasp all the concepts?
mm-hmm.
Any confusion that you have?
Right now, no, sir. But let's see how the first topic come out, and then I will be able to say exactly whether, because I read the longevity topics a little bit, but have some questions to ask too.
Regarding?
I read the longevity handouts.
No, let us come to that first. No.
Yeah, okay.
That is what I'm going to teach you today.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So let us come to that first, okay?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'll start the screen sharing, okay?
Yes. Okay, sir. No problem.
Start the screen sharing.
Yep.
Let me see if the video runs. Let's see. Try. It runs for some time, then goes off.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see.
Sometimes it come up. I have
Yeah.
into screen. Right now the picture is frozen.
Okay.
Okay, come up, sir.
Has it come up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, see, this is a write-up on longevity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, write-up on longevity, and so this is judgment of longevity. You know what longevity means, no?
Yeah, long
you
life.
Understand life, yeah. Your age.
Yes, sir.
How long is one expected to live? So there are some rules, okay? So check out the connections of the ascendant sublord, okay? So as I told you, every house or cusp has a sublord, no? And that sublord would be a planet.
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So we have to check when we are checking the longevity, when we are predicting longevity of a native, and so we have to for any event to take place, as I told you, the sublord of the relevant house is very important. So here, longevity, the primary house for determining longevity is the ascendant or the first house. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Or the lagna. If this sublord is connected to the maraksthanas, we'll come to what maraksthanas are. Okay.
Yep.
And or badhaksthanas, we'll see what maraksthanas and badhaksthanas are. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Without having connections with the life-giving bhavas or cusps. Okay. Longevity is to be judged as short. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When we come to the examples, it will be clearer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
When we come to the examples, it will be clearer. So now this thing is. Okay, number 3 is if this sublord has connections with the maraksthanas and the badhaksthanas.
Yes, sir.
And also with the life-giving houses. Longevity to be judged is up to middle age. Okay. Now, if the sublord of the ascendant, this sublord means sublord of the ascendant, has connections only with life-giving houses, without having connections with the marka and the badhaka houses, longevity is full longevity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Life-giving houses or bhavas, cusps are one and the same thing.
Yes,
are
sir.
1, 3, and 8. Okay, 1, 3, and 8 mainly. And generally the other improving houses, not second in this case. Okay, let's keep it at 1, 3, and 8. Okay. Maraksthanas for all ascendants. Maraksthanas for all. Maraksthana means death-giving houses.
Yes, sir.
For all ascendants are the 2nd and the 7th houses. 2nd and the 7th bhavas. Okay. For all ascendants. Okay. Now this is important. Badhaksthana for movable Rashi, ascendant is the 11th cusp.
And for 17.
Okay.
Yep.
Which are the movable rashis?
1, 4, 7, 10.
Yeah. For fixed ascendant, 9th, and for dual ascendants, it is the 7th house.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
This we have to remember. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I've given also movable rashis are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Okay. So 1, 4, 7, and 10. Fixed rashis are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. Dual rashis are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. The 6th, weak 8th, 12th bhavas are also not good for longevity. The 6th house, if the 8th house is weak 8th, and 12th bhavas are also not good for longevity. The 10th bhava 2 is considered negative for longevity. Okay.
Why, sir?
No, there's no why.
Oh.
Probably because 10th is the negating house to the 11th. That is why. Okay. So thereby meaning that, if the sublord of the ascendant has connections with the 6th or a weak 8th house or the 12th house or the 10th house, then it impacts the longevity in a adverse manner. It reduces the longevity. Okay. Also judge strength of Saturn, which is the natural significator for longevity. This we studied in Vedic also. I think Ayushkarak. It is called the Ayushkarak. Okay. Short life is up to 33 years. Midlife is up to 66 years, and full life or beyond, full life is up to or beyond 100 years. Okay. Anything above 66 is full life. Life up to 8 years falls under what we call in Hindi, there's no English equivalent to it. We will call it a very short life. Life up to 8 years falls under the Balarishta Yoga. Okay. So very short. And you can say, infant mortality sort of a thing. Okay. Okay. Before venturing into predicting longevity in natal horoscopes, ensure that the time of birth is very accurate. Okay. Otherwise, do not predict, as it is a very, very sensitive matter. Why time of birth? Because see, you have to judge the ascendant sublord. So unless and until you are sure about the time, then don't predict longevity at all. Because as we discussed the other day, sublord is liable to change within 2 minutes to 8 to 9 minutes for all houses. So if we are not sure about the correctness of the time of birth, we will not venture into judging longevity. Okay. We can judge longevity through horary astrology also. We'll come to horary astrology.
Yes, sir.
Later. We'll discuss, what horary astrology is all about in the next class, maybe, or the class after that. So before venturing into predicting longevity in the natal horoscope, ensure that the time of birth is very accurate. Okay. Otherwise, do not predict, as it is a very sensitive matter. Okay. Even otherwise, answer very tactfully regarding can't tell the person point blank on his face that, you're going to die. That's what is meant by, when we say that, you have to be very, very cautious and careful. Okay. But remember one thing, judgment of longevity is very, very important.
Yeah.
Whenever a horoscope comes to you, especially, if a person is sick, if he is ill, okay, critically ill, then see, the person who's bringing the horoscope to you is generally bringing it to you for judging longevity only. Okay. Or in case of a newborn child, when somebody approaches you for analyzing the horoscope of a newborn child, first look at the longevity, because only if, longevity is promised, are the, other things relevant. Otherwise, they are not relevant at all. If the child has a very short longevity, okay, if he is cursed with a Balarishta Yoga as such, with very infant mortality, let's put it that way. So there's no point in analyzing, any further till we are sure about that, he's going to he's going to have a good longevity, whatever it may be, 33 years, 66 years, 80 years, 90 years. Okay. So after judging longevity, then, comes predicting when the person is going to die, or he's going to leave this earth. Okay, so any questions here?
Oh, okay. So
Maraka and Badhak Sthan, you understood the concept?
yeah, they're giving how to 7.
Yeah. So
Baraka.
Maraka and Badhak Sthanas you have
What does Baraka mean, sir? I cannot remember exactly Baraka.
obstructive houses. Badhaka means obstruction.
Okay, sir.
Okay, obstruction.
Yep.
In Hindi, Badhak means obstructor, obstructing houses. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
AP has not mentioned any English equivalent for it, so we call it Badhaka houses only. Okay.
Yep.
So this clear. So we'll
Yes, sir.
okay. So we'll take up an example.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll try and do it with an example. So okay, now this horoscope that oh no, 1 second. 1 second. Okay, Peter.
Yep.
See, now this particular horoscope that we are going to study here,
Yes, sir.
if you go back to your Vedic lessons, if you go back to Vedic lessons, you see that this particular case I've discussed in Vedic also. Okay. You go back to your Vedic lessons and you open longevity, you'll come across the same chart in North Indian style.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is the horoscope of a child who was born on 2/1/1997. Okay. And passed away on 10/2/1997. Okay. So longevity, date of birth is 2/1/97, 10:22 a.m. Bareilly is a place in India. Okay. So this is he was the son of a friend of mine. So he brought his horoscope to me because he was not well. So generally, just to see, what was promised.
Yep.
So since he was a friend of mine and he asked me to tell him, so I told him, that, even when you see that, longevity of a newborn child is not promised, you can't tell the father or the parents or the relatives that, the boy is not going to, boy or girl. You have to tell them, you have to be cautious, go to the best doctors, get him the best medical advice, etc., etc. You have to put it that way. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So anyways, we're talking about judgment of longevity. Now, on judgment of longevity, you have to see now we are starting with the predictions. So here the Vimshotri Dashas also come into play. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Vimshotri Dashas also come into play. Okay. So now, look now, this is the write-up, the bottom. I'm going to read it out. Okay. Yep. And wherever computer is giving all sorts of problem now. Okay. So boy was born, I'm reading out. Boy was born on 2/1/97 and passed away on 10/2/9. Ascendant sublord is Mercury. Ascendant sublord is Mercury. Okay. Yep. You can see from cuspal position stable. Okay. In the middle, in the center of the page. Yes, ascendant sublord is Mercury. Okay. Mercury, it is in the star of Venus. It is in the star of Venus, Lord of the Badhak Sthana, 9th house. Now you follow the table. Okay. See, 9th house is what? It is the Badhak Sthana. Why? Because what is the Lagna here?
Lagna here is in Aquarius.
Aquarius. So 9th house is the 9th house is the Badhak Sthana. Okay.
Yep.
Badhak Sthana. So ascendant sublord, as we read in the notes, Mercury, we have to see the connections of Mercury with the Badhak Sthanas, the Marak Sthanas. We have to see the Dasha, Antardasha, under which when the child was born, etc. We have to see take all these factors into consideration. So ascendant sublord Mercury is in the star of Venus that you can see from the table. It is in the star of Venus table, from both the tables, from the significator tables as well as tables on the left side. See here, I'll just get the cursor for you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, now Mercury, you see this arrow, okay? See, Mercury is the ascendant sublord. Now follow Mercury in this table. Where all do you find Mercury?
Mercury is in...
First of all, which are the Badaka houses and which are the Makra houses? Tell me.
Okay. Badaka house is number 9.
Okay.
Maraka
And
is to 7.
Maraka will be 2nd and 7th.
Yep.
For any horoscope. Okay. So now let's see the connections of Mercury, the ascendant sublord. It is the one of the strongest significators of the Badaka house, the 9th house. Okay. So Mercury has connections with the 9th house, very strong connections with the 9th house, as it is an A-level significator. Why is it an A-level significator? Because columns A and B are blank. 9th house, in front of 9th house, columns A and B, Pluto we don't consider. So, you know, we can sort of remove this also. I'll remove it just now. Okay, so Mercury is a very strong significator of the Badak Sthana. So, in other words, the sublord of the ascendant, sublord of the first house of or the ascendant, the primary house for determining longevity, has connections with the Badhak Sthana. Okay. So Mercury becomes a Badhaka planet. We call it a Badhaka planet, an obstructive planet. Okay. So is in the star of why? Why does it have connections with the connections with the 9th house? See the table of significators. Is there any planet sitting in the 9th house?
Yes. On sitting, no, none at all.
Pluto, we don't consider Pluto. So then we take the owner of the planet. Who's the lord of the planet? Who's the lord of the house?
Venus, sir.
And which planets are in the star of Venus?
The planet in the star of Venus is Sun and Mercury.
So Mercury is the ascendant sublord. So Sun and Mercury, they become very strong significators of the 9th house. Okay. So, and Venus and Mercury is the ascendant sublord. So, point number 1 to be noted is that the sublord of the ascendant is a very strong Badhaka planet. Badhaka planet, we call it. Okay. It will become Badhaka.
The levels, right? At the level. At the level.
Because A and B are blank. Okay. Okay. Just let me. I'll erase this. Just let me finish this. Sorry. Okay, over. So now, so there's confusion. I've got rid of it.
Venus is at the D level, is in the D level. So, but since it has no occupant, it's become an A level, correct?
Yeah. Since this is blank, and since this is blank, okay, this is blank and this is blank. So Mercury becomes at an A, you can call it an A level significator because A and B are blank. So the planet found in C becomes the A level. A level just means the strongest. Okay, so Mercury, the sublord of the ascendant. Now, let's read further. Okay, now, next is Mercury is in rapt conjunction with Sun. What does that mean, rapt conjunction with Sun?
Within 5-degree orbit.
See, Can you see the horoscope where they are situated? Where is situated Mercury and Sun?
Mercury is 17 in Sagittarius, and Sun is at 18 Sagittarius.
So they are in rapt conjunction, less than a degree apart from each other. So what happens is the same as Vedic astrology.
Yes, sir.
Sun also will, become. Sun also is tinged by the significations of Mercury. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sun also becomes a Badhaka. It is already a Badhaka. You can see from the table also. Okay. So Mercury in rapt conjunction with Sun also has a strong significator of the 9th and 10th being in the star of Venus. Now, where do you find Mercury again? 9th Mercury, we have already seen. Where in the table is Mercury again?
Mercury is in sit in the 10th house.
And
Mercury, Sun is in the star of Mercury.
No, just we are talking about Mercury. Mercury, the ascendant sublord. We are talking about the significations of the ascendant sublord. So we have already seen that it is a significator of the 9th house.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Next signification. See, look at all the column A. Where do you find Mercury? Do you find Mercury in any?
Yeah, in 10th house, column A.
So 10th, as we have already discussed in the write-up, is another house which is not good for longevity.
Okay.
So the ascendant sublord is also a significator of the 10th house.
Yep.
So it becomes a very bad significator for longevity. Okay. 4th house also, Mercury also has connections with the 4th house. Okay, that's okay. You can consider it neutral. Okay. So 10th, now I'm reading on. 10th is not good for longevity. Okay, I'm here. Sun owns 7th. Sun owns the 7th house. Sun. Now we are talking about the Badhaka planets also. Okay, Sun owns 7th. Sublord of, now we have to see the sublord of the planets also. Sublord of Mercury. We are talking about the sublord of the cusp, first house. Who is the sublord of the first house? It is Mercury. Mercury. And now, who is the sublord of Mercury? Because the sublord of Mercury will always, influence the result that Mercury is going to give. Who is the sublord of Mercury? You can see from the table.
Mars, sir.
Mars. What is the signification of Mars in the significator table? Tell me.
Mars is untenanted. Mars is untenanted.
No. Which houses is Mars signifying?
Oh, okay. Mars signify. Okay. Mars signifies the 3rd house. Mars signifies 7th house. Mars signify.
What does the 7th house mean?
7th house is Malaka.
Maraka. Okay, death giving house. Okay. And it is the sublord of Mercury. So the sublord of Mercury, Mars, is also a Maraka planet. So Mercury becomes a very bad, significator for longevity in this child's horoscope. Okay. Anyway, second paragraph. So what do we conclude? Longevity promise is short. Okay. Because the sublord of the ascendant Mercury, it has connections with the Maraka and Badhaka houses. It is itself a Badhaka because it is a significator of the 9th house, and it has Maraka connections also because its sublord Mars is a very strong significator of the 7th house. It is an A grade significator of the 7th house. Now, Peter, can you tell me why I am calling Mars as an A grade significator of the 7th house?
Because Mars is untenanted, I think.
Excellent. That means you have absolutely got the concept. Because Mars is untenanted.
Yep.
Okay. So, longevity promises short. Okay. Second paragraph. However, for longevity, strengths of the life-giving houses, third and eighth, are also to be seen. Okay. Sublord of third is untenanted Ketu. Sublord of the third house. See, one basic principle is in KP, whenever we talk about a house, okay, we have to see the strength of the houses. Like in Vedic, we used to see the strength of the houses. We have to see the strength of the houses for the particular event that we are judging. So third house and eighth house, so they are life-giving houses. So, if they are to be strong, then good longevity will be promised. So we have to see who are the sublords of third and eighth. So sublord of third house is untenanted Ketu, which is also the sublord of Badhaka ninth cusp. Okay. Untenanted, it is the untenanted cuspal sublord of the ninth cusp. So it becomes a Badhaka, untenanted cuspal sublord. That means it signifies the cusp itself. Okay, sublord of the third house, you will not find this in the table. Sublord of the third house, is untenanted Ketu, which is also the sublord of the ninth cusp. So third is not protected. So the third house is not protected because third house is exposed to short longevity. Why? Because its sublord is also the untenanted sublord of the ninth house. If you see in the table, ninth house, it is the untenanted. And Ketu, how do we know that Ketu is untenanted?
Yeah, I'm asking this. I can't find. I mean, I can see it clearly, but Ketu is in the sublord of.
Yeah, and how do we? From where do we see whether Ketu is untenanted? From where do we see?
Because I mean, I see Ketu is a sublord of the 9 cups.
Yeah.
So
I'm talking about untenanted. How do we know that Ketu is untenanted? There are no planets in Ketu stars. That you can either if you remember, Ketu stars will be here, okay, in Aries, okay, then in Leo, and then here up to 1320. So there are no planets. There are no planets in Ketu stars. So Ketu is untenanted.
Do we look at the star lord level? Ketu is not in the star lord level. That's why it's untenanted. Is it correct, sir?
What?
I still can't see why Ketu is untenanted.
You can't see.
Yeah, I mean I don't see the connection. Why we can say? I mean I see Mars because
Ketu. You don't see the connection because we are saying the Ketu is it is the untenanted cuspal sublord of ninth house, so it becomes a very strong significator of the ninth house.
Correct. Yeah, but why is untenanted?
Why it is untenanted? Because it doesn't. There are no stars. There are no planets and stars. That is why it is untenanted.
I mean, I see it. This is. I mean, Mars is clear because for the house-wide significator table, Mars is nothing in column 3, but Ketu.
Yeah.
This is what I
can see. Can you first see whether Ketu is tenanted or not? What I mean is, can you find out whether there are any planets in the constellations or the nakshatras or stars of Ketu? Can you judge that?
No. From sun, there's no star lord level. No, at all.
Oh, not Ketu at all. So that means if Ketu becomes a sublord of any of the cusps, okay, then it will become a very strong significator of that cusp also, which you will not find here. Ninth house Ketu does not appear as a significator. See this table.
Yeah.
It does not appear as a significator, but since it is the untenanted sublord of the ninth cusp, it becomes a very strong, in fact, an A-level significator of the ninth house.
Okay.
So now what are we talking about now? We are judging the third house. Okay. We are judging the third house. Okay. However, for longevity, strengths of sublord of third house is untenanted K2. So K2 is sublord of the third house. It is a strong significator of the third house also. So it has to protect the third house also. But why is it not protecting the third house? Because it is also the untenanted sublord of the ninth house. So that is why it becomes a badhaka.
Because
So a
nine is badhaka.
badhaka, a badhaka, as also the sublord of the third house, does not give protection to the third house. So it is a death-giving planet, an obstructive planet. Okay.
One question then.
Yeah.
Okay, from planet Mars, from the house-wise significator table. Okay.
Significator table you can put, okay, we'll do it in the next class. You can, we can add an extra column here, signification as, at the cuspal level, because of its being, untenanted. You can add.
Oh.
Well, 1 minute. Let's do it this way.
I mean, for Mars, I can see it clearly from the table, but I just wonder about Ketu and Rahu.
I'm putting Ketu here, okay?
Ketu
I'm putting against the ninth house. I'm putting Ketu. And in brackets, I'm writing untenanted. Okay. UT UNTSL. Okay. Okay. UNTSL. Untenanted sublord. The left side table, untenanted sublord. So it becomes, here also it is there. Okay. It is the untenanted sublord of the third house also. Here we can put. Now, how the connection is there, Ketu. Let's put Ketu.
Ketu. Yeah, Ketu is in the
UNTSL. Okay. Now, what are we talking about? We have to see houses, third and eighth. So we have to judge the strength of the third house. How do we judge the strength of a cusp? The sublord of the third house, it is Ketu. Okay, it is untenanted. So it's significant, but it also becomes the sublord of the ninth cusp, untenanted sublord of the ninth cusp. So what happens now? If it becomes the sublord, untenanted sublord of the ninth, there's this connection between the third and the ninth. Ketu, being sublord of the third house, untenanted sublord of the third house, signifies the third house and also signifies the ninth house. It adversely impacts the third house also, the life-giving house. It has the adverse impact of the Badhaka house through Ketu, which is the sublord of both third as well as ninth. So third house, the life-giving house, is rendered weak. So there's no protection to the third house. Okay. However, now third and eighth are also which is also sublord of the Badhaka ninth cusp. Now we come to the eighth cusp. Eighth cusp sublord is an untenanted Rahu. See the eighth cusp. You can see untenanted seventh house. Rahu is the significant of the seventh house. You can see from the table.
Okay, seventh house.
So even the eighth house, the life-giving house, is not protected because it's sublord Rahu. It's sublord Rahu. It's sublord Rahu. It is a very strong marka. It is a strong marka. It is lord of the seventh house, and it is untenanted. So it is an A grade significator of the seventh house, which is the marka house. So both eighth as well as third, the life-giving houses are not protected. So longevity promise that we had, derived at arrived at in our analysis that life is very short stands justified because both the third and the eighth, the life-giving houses, are rendered weak through their sublords. Okay, born. Now we are coming to the dasha periods. Okay, boy was born in Moon Mahadasha, Mercury Antardasha. Okay, Mercury we have already discussed. Mercury as a planet, it is a Badhaka and Maraka we have discussed above. So Moon oblique Mercury, Mercury is already discussed. That means he was already born in the Antardasha of a Maraka and Badhaka planet. Okay, Moon is a strong significator of sixth house. He was born in the Mahadasha of Moon. Okay, I have not given it here, but he was born. You can, from the date of birth, you can find out. Or you can go back to your Vedic lessons also. Okay, you open the Vedic lessons and you see this, boys, how we have justified in the Vedic, that how we have arrived at short longevity in Vedic. Okay, and then you can connect both through KP as well as through Vedic. Okay, how to predict. Moon is a strong significator of sixth and seventh. See, Moon is a very strong significator of the sixth and seventh. From the table you can see. Sixth is not good for longevity. Seventh is so Moon is a Maraka planet. It is a Marak. Okay. So seventh, okay, boy was born in Moon Mercury. Mercury already discussed. Moon is a strong significator of sixth and seventh at the stellar level. Why? Owning sixth and being placed in seventh in its own star. Okay. Moon is an untenanted sublord of the 12th cusp also. Moon is an untenanted sublord of the 12th cusp, which is not good for longevity. Okay. Also, sublord of Moon is Mercury. So we are coming back to that. It is a vicious circle. Sublord of Moon is Mercury, which is already discussed. Okay. So there is no saving grace. Okay. The boy died in Moon oblique Ketu. Ketu in Saturn star, and Saturn owns 12th. Ketu is untenanted sublord of, we have already discussed Ketu. Okay. It is the untenanted. Something wrong with my computer is now gone.
I think it's
where has it
it's open in another file, sir. This is in Bookget Sun file.
No, it's here only, but
it looks like right now you are in Bookget Sun file.
All these things, are just creating disturbance for me.
I think it's a wrong file, sir, because on the left side it's a Bookget Sun.
Gone.
On the left side it's a Bookget Sun.
No, it's disappeared now.
I think it's in another file.
Okay,
in another
okay. Yeah. Last line only. Yeah. So the last line, see the last line, the second last line, only tenanted is in first house. Okay. House is a life-giving house. And in the star pattern, in the first, but that was not sufficient in face of very adverse odds, heavy adverse odds, which we have already read. Okay. Boy could not survive. So the boy passed away on, as I mentioned the date, 10/2/1997. 10/1997. Now, we can open the transit also and match with the transits also. The transit also you will find, this you can do for yourself. You have the software. No, Bareli, you look up. You can create the horoscope in your records and see the transits also. Okay, we see what transits mean. So this is one example.
Yep. But before we proceed, can I ask one question a little bit?
Yeah.
Untenanted planet. Okay. For untenanted planet, you say it's Mars, Ketu, Rahu. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they are not found on the stellar level on the planetary table.
Yeah, that is why they are untenanted. Untenanted means, see, untenanted means, you have a tenant if somebody is living in your house. Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Say that the house is the nakshatra. Okay. It is, your house is called nakshatra or star or constellation. The name of your house is star. Okay, or constellation or nakshatra. Now, when there is somebody living, then your house is, your nakshatra is tenanted.
Yeah, correct.
But if there's nobody living, then your house or nakshatra is untenanted. There is no tenant. That is what is meant, plain and simple.
So in this case, the three planets cannot be found on the planetary stellar level, starlord level.
Yeah, you will not find this in this table. Okay, you can create, you can create a column. I can put a slash also here, sublord, 7th cusp. Similarly, I can put Rahu here. Okay, untenanted. I'll do that. Okay. I'll put Rahu.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'll put a bracket. UNTLSL. Okay, get my point?
Yep, sir. Okay. From my understanding, if I look at the planetary position tables at the stellar level, for Sun, Star Lord is Venus, Moon is Moon itself, Mars is Sun. In this column, the Star Lord levels, we cannot find Mars, Ketu, and Rahu. So that's the reason why they are untenanted.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's it. So, okay.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'll remove this. Okay, now I'll remove this Control Z.
Just because we cannot find it on the stellar level. Star Lord in the planetary position table. Okay.
Yes.
Yep. I just want to make sure.
So we'll take up another example.
Yeah.
This we have done in the calls.
Yes,
okay. We've done in
That's
Vedic
good,
also.
Sir. It give,
Go back to Vedic. You'll find this case in Vedic also.
it
Okay.
gives me both.
So we'll share another.
I can see KP and Vedic comparison.
Yeah. Okay, so this is another horoscope of a child. Okay, and this also I've done in the Vedic class also. Okay, same horoscope I have discussed through Vedic. Okay, and now we are doing it through KP. You can go back and check this out also. Okay, so now it will be simpler for you to follow. Okay, since we've done the first example. Okay, now see, now we are starting straight away. Sublord of ascendant is Saturn. Again, untenanted. Now you see for yourself. First understand. First understand.
There's no Saturn in the Star Lord level in the planetary position table. And Star Lord of the first cup is Saturn.
Yeah. Now, so how do you find out?
Sublord.
How do you find out? You know, Saturn. See Saturn here in the column B. Against the second, against the third house. Okay.
Blank.
Column A is blank. So there is no planet in the
Saturn.
In the star of Saturn. So it is untenanted. And it is a sublord of the ascendant. So untenanted sublord of the ascendant is Saturn. That means it signifies the first house also. Sublord of ascendant is Saturn, untenanted. And it is also the sublord of the seventh house. See from the table of cusps. It becomes also the sublord of the seventh house. That means it becomes a Maraka planet. So the sublord of the ascendant becomes a Maraka planet. It becomes a very strong significator of the seventh house also. Okay. So we can, you know what we were doing like this here. We can put.
Yes, sir.
Just for your understanding.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just for your understanding. Saturn we have put as the untenanted sublord of the seventh house. So it becomes a very strong significator of the seventh house. So it becomes a Maraka. Okay. The first step for judgment of longevity is judging the sublord of the ascendant. Okay. So sublord of ascendant is Saturn, untenanted, and is also sublord of Maraka, seventh house. As it is untenanted, it signifies seventh fully. Okay. It is also a full significator of the second Maraka house, which it owns. Now see the second house.
Owned by Saturn.
Saturn again, it is the sublord of the ascendant. It becomes a very strong Maraka, as it is the only significator of the second house.
In the table.
So it becomes an all-round Maraka. Okay. So it is also a full significator of second Maraka house, which it owns and signifies fully. It does signify third and 11th, but could not help as the child was born with a heart problem. That we'll again take up when we come to, you know, health. Okay. The same horoscope. Okay. The sublord of Saturn is Venus. Now we have to see the sublord of the ascendant. Okay. The sublord of Saturn is Venus.
Correct.
In the ninth Badaka house and owns the sixth house of disease. Good longevity is not promised. Sublord of Saturn is Venus, okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is significator of the sixth house,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it is in the ninth house.
Mm-hmm.
So it does not have good connections. The sublord of the ascendant, which is Saturn, is Venus, which has connection with sixth and ninth houses.
Yeah.
Okay, so it further gives strength to Saturn as a Maraka planet. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Ask.
But Venus also on 7 and 11. Should we consider the 7th house and 11th house?
Sorry.
No,
No. Badaka is decided by the where the ascendant falls, whether in a movable house, or in a dual house or in a fixed house.
Okay, so we don't need
otherwise,
to consider other house, right?
Okay, otherwise, except 11th house. If 11th house is not the Badaka house, then it is a good house for longevity. Okay.
Because I found Venus is the sign lord of the 7th house and the 11th house. So I wonder whether should we connect it to.
Sorry, where did you find? What did you find?
From the house-wise table. 7th house and 11th house has Venus as a sign lord.
Start as the Rashi, as the owner, as the Rashi lord. Okay, as the owner. So ownership in KP is the weakest signification.
Okay. So in this case, we don't need to forget.
No, it's not that. Like, see, Saturn, because it is A, B, and C are blank.
Yes,
so
sir.
Saturn is a full-fledged significator. It is the owner of the second house, but it is also a full-fledged significator because there are no planets in the second house.
Correct. Yeah.
And there are no planets. Saturn star also. So Saturn as the owner becomes the A-level significator. This concept, Peter, you have to have a clarity of this concept in your mind.
I just wonder whether, I mean, Saturn also connected to the 3rd house. Saturn, as Venus.
It is connected to the 3rd house.
Yeah,
it is, but one second. But it is connected to the 3rd house. But what happens is, if an untenanted planet becomes sublord of any of untenanted sublord of any of the cusps, it has very strong significations of that cusp.
Yeah, I know.
Overrides the stellar level significations.
Okay.
So Saturn here, what you mean is Saturn is the stellar level signification. Saturn at the stellar level signifies the 3rd house, but since it is the untenanted sublord of the 7th house, then the strength of signification that it has for the 7th house is stronger than its signification of the 3rd house.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep.
Okay. Untenanted cuspal sublord is a very strong significator of that cusp.
Yep.
So this you have to remember. Okay.
Yes, sir. I just wonder whether, because I mean, sometimes the sign lord connect it to other house.
Say now,
in this
what
case,
you mean is
consider other house.
Your voice is cracking.
Yeah, can you go on
See, there's some problem. Not in my computer. There's some problem in your. I can't hear you. See this. What significator of the 3rd house, which is a life-giving house. This is what you mean.
Yeah.
But then see, the Saturn is also the untenanted cuspal sublord of the 7th house. Of the 7th house, as I have already written here for your convenience. Okay. Signification that Saturn has of the 3rd house. So it has Maraka significations through its becoming the cuspal sublord of the 7th house. 3rd house significations. Okay. So primarily it becomes a Maraka. Okay. Okay. Now sublord of the 7th house, as it is untenanted, it signifies 2nd house, Maraka house, which it owns and signifies fully. I have written the child, as the child was born with a heart problem. Okay. This is the 9th Badaka house and owns 6th. Moon Ketu started in July 1996. Okay. Moon Ketu. Child was born on 11/8/1994. Moon oblique Ketu started in July 1990. Longevity. In its own star. Okay. It is sitting in its own star. So Moon is signifying 10th and owns 8th, the house of danger. And its sublord is Saturn, which is already discussed. Okay. Moon's sublord of Moon is Saturn, which is already discussed. As it is in KP, there's a general rule that combination of Moon and Saturn anywhere in a horoscope it's not a good sign. Okay. Moon Saturn connection. Okay, Saturn, which is already discussed. Discussing these dasha antar dasha now. Okay, when moon and moon Ketu start, Ketu signifies ninth, Badak sthana, by being in the star of Venus sitting in ninth. So Ketu, the antar dasha lord. It is a Badhaka planet, and also the seventh through Venus, though not very strongly. How giving strength to Venus. Peter, you can even after I finish my class, you can listen to my lecture and try to make sense out of it. If you don't understand, we'll discuss it in the next house. However, sixth house owned by Venus is unoccupied, giving strength to Venus. Ketu also represents Mars, which is a strong significator of the Maraka seventh house, as it is sitting in its seventh in its own star. Now, how Ketu represents Mars, that we will discuss when we study Rahu and Ketu separately for KP. Okay, maybe next class or class after that. Okay, Mars also signifies 12th, being its owner. No planet in 12th, and Mars is in its own star. Ketu thus becomes Marak and Badhak both. Antardasha Lord. Okay, Moon oblique, the child passed away in Moon oblique Ketu. Moon Mahadasha and Ketu Antardasha. Ketu thus becomes Marak and Badhak. The child passed away on 3/8/1996 during Moon Ketu. Moon, now I'm talking about the transit. Moon was in Saturn star transit that day, on the day of death. Moon was in Saturn star. Ketu was in Mercury star. Mercury is 8th in own star and in the sub of Moon. If you read all this later on, what I have told you and written here, you can see the transit. You can click on the transit and see the transit for that day in this true astrology. Okay, true astrology. So that's it. So the boy passed away. So all these combinations are deadly Maraka and Badhaka. We've already see, like I told that how do we see an event, how an event is going to take. Here we are seeing death as an event, when death is likely to take place, whether the native is promised a good longevity. Longevity is the event that we are talking about. So we see the sublords of the primarily the ascendant. Ascendant is the life-giving, is the most important life-giving houses. And then we see its connections with either Maraka or Badhaka houses, and then whether it gives protection, if it has connections with the life-giving houses also. And then we see who are the Maraka planets in any horoscope. Okay, in any horoscope, you'll see the notes, the write-up that I've written. You go through that. Any horoscope, these significators, they are called the Marakas, Marak planets. Okay, and 7th, 9th, or 11th, depending on the ascendant, they become the Badhaka planets in any horoscope. So from here, and Mars write-up, if you'll see, later on, when you study the write-up and you listen to my lecture, you'll see. And with 9th house significators, Ketu, Venus, and Sun. Okay, Ketu, Venus, and Sun. They are the Badhaka planets. Now, first of all, when when you're learning KP, what you need to do is take a pen and paper, write down the ascendant sublord when you're studying longevity, and you make a note of the sublord connections with 2nd house, 7th house, and the Badhaka houses. Okay, and you note down the Badhaka planets and the Maraka planets and what connections they have. And you always make a note of, in any horoscope, whether you check whether any of the houses, the cusps, have untenanted planets as their sublords. That is very important in KP. Okay, make a note of that. This is how we go stepwise. Okay. So
life-giving house 138.
138.
Yeah. 8 is longevity.
8th is longevity. Saturn is very important. If 8th house is strong, 8th house is strong means the sublord of the 8th house has to be connected with the other life-giving houses. 1, 3, and 8. Okay, without having connections with 6th, 8th, 12th. Okay, if it has connections with 6th, okay, 10th, these are bad for longevity, and 12th, these are bad for longevity. That means any house, 3rd house, if it has connections with 6th, 8th, 10th, 12th, it is bad for longevity. If it has connections with 1st, Second, of course, is a Maraka house. So second is ruled out. Seventh is a Maraka house. So it should not have connection with the second, seventh, the Badaka houses, sixth house, 10th house, and 12th. These are bad for longevity. Okay.
One is ascendant, eighth is longevity. How about third? So third is how what?
Third is a life-giving house.
Oh yeah. What I mean, 8 is longevity. First house is ourselves. How about third? It's courage. No, it's not.
No, third. See, third is third house and eighth house in even in Vedic and in KP, they are considered as 1, 3, and 8. They are eighth is the house of you can call it the house of longevity. So if you have, a good strong eighth house, then you go on, you have a long life. Eighth. Okay. It is, you see, they are the next houses to the Maraka houses. Okay. They are the second house, Maraka houses. So they are considered good. Like we told you, any 12th house to any house is the negating house. So second house to any houses are the positive houses for that particular event. Okay. So third and eighth, they are life-giving houses. Second and seventh, they are life-taking houses. Third and eighth are life-giving houses. That is why the 12th to the third, which is second, it becomes a Maraka house. And the 12th to the eighth, which is seventh, becomes a Maraka house.
Okay. So, yep, I see.
So I think that's enough for today.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
So, yeah. So I think that'll be.
So see you on Friday, sir.
That is a good enough dose for today. I mean, just and maybe we'll do one more class on longevity if required.
Yeah, that would be good. So
we don't have the concept clear. Okay, so I'm stopping the recording here. Okay.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.